So Ramaphosa's SONA just saved the outgoing leader of the DA, Steenhuisen, from the fire. In this video, I'm going to show you what just happened there that you might have missed. And if you stay with me right up until my biblical reaction, I think you're going to have something very valuable that will help you to think about South Africa going forward. Because you know, South Africa will prosper. You ready? Okay, press like and let's go. So let's start a year ago when this happened.
KwaZulu-Natal is facing yet another outbreak of foot and mouth disease, with new cases reported in Newcastle. The virus now spread beyond the original disease management area, and authorities are taking urgent steps to contain it. The Department of Agriculture has extended the movement restrictions, and farmers must follow strict biosecurity measures to prevent further spread. But what challenges are they facing, and what happens next?
But now, 4 weeks ago, Minister of Agriculture Steenhuisen announced this.
Steenhuisen has unveiled a 10-year strategy to contain the devastating financial and emotional burden of the foot and mouth disease. The strategy includes vaccination to protect the national herd. The minister says there are vaccines currently circulating in the country, while 1 million doses are ready to be supplied by international partners within 2 weeks once necessary permits are issued.
Vaccination is not a silver bullet to eradicate or manage this disease. It is merely one of the tools that can and must be used to combat foot and mouth disease. It is, however, no replacement for good on-farm biosecurity, a greater adherence to movement controls, as well as ensuring at a farm level that biosecurity is up to the correct standards.
Steenhuisen says the current outbreak started in 2021 when animals were moved from Phalaborwa to KwaZulu-Natal. He says the Northern Cape is currently the only province that never reported the outbreak of this disease.
We'll obviously be prioritising the high-risk zones. We know that KZN is the epicenter, but many other provinces are also suffering. The goal there is of reaching at least 80% coverage in targeted cattle populations, especially in the communal areas, and up to 100% of feedlots and dairy cows. The objective is to, within 12 months, reduce outbreak incident by 70% in the high-risk provinces.
The minister says almost 2 million animals have been vaccinated since its outbreak.
But the stakes were raised because 10 days ago...
Now, the management of South Africa's worst foot and mouth disease outbreak has escalated into a legal showdown between the Minister of Agriculture, John Steenhuisen, and a coalition of private agricultural lobby groups. Agricultural interest groups, along with lobby group Sakeliga, are launching legal action against Steenhuisen for his alleged failure to justify a ban on private foot and mouth vaccinations. For more on this matter, we are now joined by Sakeliga CEO, Piet Leroux.
Yeah, Sakeliga has experience in a wide range of industries. Failure by ministers and state officials to do their job can obstruct private solutions to problems. And there's a tendency in government to delay and to centralize. Earlier this year, we realized that the foot and mouth disease crisis, the outbreak, was reached significant proportions. The minister even said that he wanted to declare a national state of disaster. He identified a certain key problem, which seems to be that the Minister of Agriculture insists that only the state may procure and have vaccines administered. And we then went and had a look at what is the basis for this claim, and we couldn't find it, and so far the minister has failed to provide it.
We really do see, we see the prices of meat increasing and the issues that farmers are having to deal with. So you've actually instructed the attorneys to approach the courts to review and set aside the ban. Why is this?
After many years of failure, including 18 months of failure to solve this problem under Minister Steenhuisen's tenure, we don't want to put more faith in government, especially not now that the plan is to vaccinate 14 million cattle. We now want to say, let's have a dual stream approach. The Minister and the Department of Agriculture can continue with what they've been promising to do for many years, but have failed to do. We are not trying to stop them from doing something, but what we are doing is we're saying he must show us the legal basis for preventing private parties, veterinarians and farmers and so on, from procuring, that is buying licensed vaccines in South Africa and administering those. Minister Steenhuisen somehow has decided rather to obstruct clarity, to obstruct us and to obstruct private parties seeking to secure vaccines by failing to provide a legal basis. He keeps refusing to tie himself down to a version of his supposed legal basis for the specific way in which he wants to control this state-controlled disease.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you agree that foot-and-mouth disease is officially a state-controlled disease?
Well, officially it is called a state-controlled disease because the state classified it as such.
Yeah.
In practice, it is a disease out of control because the state does not provide adequate regulations and it obstructs private parties from solving the disease and intervening to save their production losses. So in practice, it's out of control. This Minister Steenhuisen keeps calling it a state-controlled disease. It is classified as such. He fails to provide a legal basis. This makes it very difficult now because if he had last week complied with our demands, we sent him a formal letter. It's not an informal matter. It's a formal matter. Many millions and billions of rands are at stake. So we sent him a formal letter saying, give us your reasons. And he keeps making vague public statements. He refuses to engage with us. He refuses to reply. And now the only way to proceed is to do this through litigation. We want to get the minister to tie himself down to a version of his argument. And then we can engage on that. Because maybe, I mean, at this stage, it looks like the minister is the problem. But maybe he isn't. Maybe it's the act. Or maybe it's regulations. But the minister doesn't want to provide us a basis for formal engagement.
They basically are saying that they want to control the vaccine process. They feel that if it's uncontrolled, it can undermine disease surveillance, confuse international trading partners, delay regaining export status. They also warn that there could be illegal vaccine imports, incorrect vaccine strains being used, a lack of a cold chain control. These are some of the reasons that they are giving. Clearly, you don't think these are good enough reasons.
Where does he give these reasons? He never ties himself down to a version. Precisely asking him to tie himself down to a version, give us the reasons, the legal basis for his prohibition on private vaccine procurement and private vaccine administration. And it's especially important because in many other state-controlled diseases of much more severe human risk, veterinarians are buying and applying, private parties are buying and applying the vaccines, administering it themselves. So in media statements or in public statements, he keeps offering reasons, but his reasons keeps changing. He even introduces things like bioterrorism and such. Minister Steenhuisen just keeps making up arguments. We'd like him to provide one in writing.
Wow, so things were hot. And on the 27th of Jan, Steenhuisen answered through his spokesperson, and this long answer basically says, guys, wait, I'm busy, I don't have time for court, and I can see you just doing this for attention and donations, but just wait, can I fix this? And then let's fight after it's fixed. And a day after that interview, he pulled out of the leadership race in the DA. This is what he said.
The way I see it is that there's an important next mission that beckons for our party. And that is to build upon my legacy and the DA's success in the GNU in order to turn our party into the biggest party in South Africa so that we can lead future coalition governments at local, provincial and national level. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is a mission for the next DA leader. Because I now have another mission, and it is urgent. For the rest of this term of office, I will focus all of my time and energy as Minister of Agriculture on defeating the most devastating foot-and-mouth disease outbreak our country has ever seen, and to pursue the mass vaccination to ensure that this is the last mass outbreak of FMD that our country ever sees.
So the farmers were unhappy. Sakaliga, Free State Agriculture came together. They've taken him to court. The pressure was high. Then the State of the Nation came, and this is what President Ramaphosa said.
We can be the best in the world. Our agricultural sector is expanding rapidly. Already we are the second largest exporter of citrus fruit in the world. We are opening new markets for our exports, from citrus to avocados to maize, livestock, grapes and wine. While the rest of our agriculture is thriving, the cattle industry today is facing one of the worst outbreaks of foot and mouth disease our country has ever experienced. This disease is damaging our economy, resulting in export bans, trade restrictions and the devastation of herds. We have decided to vaccinate the entire national herd of 14 million cattle. This requires 28 million vaccines over the next few months. The state will facilitate the acquisition of the vaccine centrally to ensure that we get the right vaccine for the particular strain of the virus in South Africa. Like during COVID, many people felt tempted that they wanted to acquire vaccines for themselves. But because we are a regulated economy and country, we wanted everything to be approved by our authority, SAPRA. Similarly, in this case, SAPRA, our authority, will be the one single organization that will give approval. We will work closely with the private sector to enable an efficient rollout, and most importantly, we will ensure that commercial, private and communal farmers have immediate access to vaccines. Now, I have established a task team made up of farming organizations, yes, farmer organizations and experts working together with the Minister of Agriculture and his department that will report to me every month about the progress we are making in dealing with the pandemic. Now, why do we do this? We do this because we've got experts. We've got people with great knowledge. We need to mobilize them. We need to bring them to work with government because they have the know-how and the wisdom. We have classified foot and mouth disease as a national disaster and will be mobilizing all necessary capabilities within the state to deal with this crisis.
And just like that, the arrows can't go for Steenhuisen anymore, because the president, just like he did with COVID, just like he did with electricity, he's escalated this to his responsibility. But of course, he doesn't do it like a true responsible leader. He puts together a task team that reports to him monthly, and Steenhuisen and his department are now part of a greater task team. It means if it works, the president gets credit. If it fails, well, the task team failed. But it's taken out of Steenhuisen's hands, and it's been declared a national disaster. That's in terms of the Disaster Management Act, I think, of 2002, declare this a national disaster. I believe it's the IFP minister in the GNU, cooperative governance. And what happens with national disaster is that tendering regulations can be loosened and everything can just be moved quickly, and there's less of being stuck with long-winded government processes. So now that the president has a task team reporting to him, working with Steenhuisen, I guess they probably can't really sue Steenhuisen anymore. And the fire of the foot and mouth disease is now elevated to the presidency to either fail and blame the task team or succeed and take the credit. And so I think Ramaphosa has just saved Steenhuisen from the fire. You agree? Let me hear you below. So my biblical reaction today is going to come from The Soft Life. Most of you have a copy. If you don't, get it at the bottom. But in one chapter, I talk about this. Look, is the plane flying? Prosperity doesn't come from promises, plans, or speeches. It comes from a government that does the basics. Now, when politicians sell Father Christmas instead of law and order, prosperity gets strangled. I know people need help, but the plane is still dropping. If you want to know what plane we're talking about, it's in The Soft Life. Now, once the purpose of government is clear, politicians can't hide behind noise anymore. Now, this isn't about blaming anyone, it's about seeing the pattern. One line says it all, and this is my biblical reaction. Government exists for the punishment of evildoers and for the praise of those who do good. Same message, punish bad, reward good, simple. Why do we have government? Because they must punish evildoers and they must reward those who do good. Now, we live in complex societies. I do understand what the government's saying, that unless we vaccinate all of it, we can't go out to the world and say all our cattle are clean and you can buy them. And if you are all vaccinating individually, then we aren't able to go out and say we can sell so much cattle from South Africa, because how do we prove that our cattle are clean? At the same time, I understand the people who do good, the guys who feed me every day, who say, if my cow is sick, I can't wait 18 months for the government to come and get my cow well. And now he's talking about reporting every month. Well, what do I do when I have 10 cows with foot and mouth right now? I'm going to wait for the first month, the second month, the third month. Now, that is punishing people who do good, because people who work are doing good. Now, the government is not just to leave them alone to do good. The government exists to praise them. In other words, reward them dearly, because these are the people who feed me and you, employ people, train people, and do a lot of good for the country. Now, what often happens with our government is that they are so busy with everything else, and they believe they exist for everything else, including being Father Christmas, while if they just were good at punishing evildoers and praising those who do good, no one would be unemployed and we would not need a Father Christmas. And so the better that the government gets good at doing this, the less we'll need Father Christmas duties, which are not the government's reason for existence. And that's why I wrote this book, because I believe many people will have a big mind shift when they realize, oh, so this is what government exists for. They are not Father Christmas. They are punishers of evildoers and rewarders of those who do good. I wish the best to Steenhuisen. I hope he clears up foot and mouth disease, and I hope that the government moves as quick as possible, because people who are doing good are suffering out there. And I hope that when they finish, they're going to go back to them and say, how do we make it up to you? Because we realize what you guys do and it's good. And sorry for this mess. Sorry about it. Give them a reward. When that happens, the soft life spreads. And this is what we have to educate our people about. And so we've given out free copies to so many of you so that I could get feedback and read the fine print. And we feel confident that we're going out with print. And the next video that you have this, where you have me talking about the Prosperity Catalyst Fund, we will be telling you that copies are available, the free copies and the copies that are for sale that many of you have asked us for. And I really want to thank all our Prosperity Catalyst funders. We are ready for our first printing of the free copies that we're going to spread throughout the hotspots that we've identified. And I really want to appreciate that you've been behind us from back then last year, and now we're finally close where we'll start to distribute and get this word out so that people get the 3 secrets. And the third one is understanding the true role of government. And we're excited about something else digital that's coming up that will be on everyone's phone. Very exciting. We'll talk about it after the book is out. And if you want to get involved as a Prosperity Catalyst funder, you can check the link at the bottom, and let's make history and win our nation in the right direction for 2029. I know we can do it. I feel it in my bones. We make history together. So, no man can serve 2 masters. Either you love the one or hate the other, or you'll despise the one and honor the other. You can't serve God and Karl Marx. So, let's make history together. Cheers.